Have you ever felt like you're living a life that doesn't fully feel like yours? Like you're playing roles, meeting expectations, doing what you're supposed to do? But something deeper inside you feels unseen. That feeling actually has a name. It's called individuation. And once you understand it, it can completely change how you see yourself. And, honestly, your life. Individuation is a concept introduced by Carl Jung, a psychologist who believed that each person has a unique path toward becoming their true self. In simple terms, individuation is the process of becoming who you really are, beneath all the layers the world has placed on you. From the moment you're born, you begin adapting. You learn how to behave, what's acceptable, what gets approval, and, what doesn't. Over time, you build what Jung called the persona. That's the version of you that you show to the world, the responsible one, the strong one, the successful one, the one that fits in. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all need a persona to function in society. But here's the problem. If you only live through your persona, you start to lose touch with parts of yourself that don't fit that image. Those hidden parts don't disappear. They go into what Jung called the shadow. Your shadow holds everything you've pushed away. Emotions you were told not to feel. Traits you were told were too much or not enough. Desires you ignored. Fears you buried. And here's the truth. Your shadow isn't just darkness. It also contains your creativity, your authenticity, your raw potential. Individuation is the process of bringing those hidden parts back into awareness. Not to become chaotic, but to become whole. Think about it like this. Most people live as fragments of themselves. They show one side to the world and hide the rest. Individuation is about integrating those parts. So you're not just the version of you that's acceptable. You're the version of you that's real. But this process isn't easy, because it requires honesty. It requires you to look at yourself without filters, to ask questions like, who am I when I'm not trying to impress anyone? What parts of myself have I been hiding? What am I afraid to admit about who I am? And sometimes the answers are, uncomfortable. You might realize you've been living based on expectations that aren't really yours. You might see patterns in your behavior that, honestly, you've been avoiding. You might confront emotions you've pushed down for, years. That's why, many people avoid individuation, because it challenges the identity they've built. But avoiding it comes at a cost. When you're disconnected from your true self, life starts to feel off. You can be successful and still feel empty, surrounded by people and still feel alone, busy but without real meaning. Because deep down, something knows you're not fully being yourself. Individuation brings you back to alignment. It helps you understand what truly matters to you, what you actually want, and, who you are beneath the roles. And here's something important. Individuation doesn't mean rejecting the world or becoming completely different overnight. It's not about abandoning your responsibilities or isolating yourself. It's about balance. You still function in society, but you no longer lose yourself in it. You begin making choices that reflect your values. You stop pretending to be someone you're not. You become more grounded, more self-aware, and, just a bit more intentional. Another key part of individuation is, accepting your contradictions. You can be strong and vulnerable at the same time, confident and uncertain, disciplined and emotional. You really don't have to fit into a single, perfect image. You're allowed to be complex. And that complexity? That's where your authenticity lives. As you go deeper into this process, something shifts. You stop seeking constant validation. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop trying to prove your worth. Because, you start to understand yourself from within. And when that happens, your decisions become clearer. Your relationships become more genuine. Your life starts to feel more like your own. But remember, individuation isn't a destination. It's a lifelong process. There's no final version of you that you suddenly become. You're always evolving, always discovering, always refining. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. So, if you've been feeling disconnected, if you've been questioning who you are, if you've felt like there's more to you than what you're currently living, that's not a problem. That's a signal. A signal that you're ready to go deeper, to move beyond the surface, to stop living on autopilot. Because at the end of the day, individuation is about coming home to yourself, not the version shaped by fear, not the version shaped by expectations, but the version that feels true. And when you start living from that place, life doesn't just look different, it feels different, more real, more grounded, more meaningful. So don't rush the process. Don't try to force clarity overnight. Just start with awareness. Start asking questions. Start paying attention to what feels true. Because the person you're becoming isn't someone new. It's someone who's been there all along, waiting to be seen.